Politico has been receiving funds from the federal government. This is the official usaspending.gov website. Here you can literally see some of the transactions, Politico, and you can see the amounts over here. 860,000, 455,000, 545,000. So we also know that Trump has stopped a lot of USAID spending. Doge is going in and assessing everything and cutting out waste where it is no longer needed. So it has been surfaced that Politico has been receiving money from the US government. And it's also being reported now that yesterday, Politico actually did not send out payments to their employees. It's being reported that they missed payments. And sources are saying this is the email that was sent out to the Politico employees. Dear team, Goalie and I want to address this morning's payroll issue directly. Due to what we believe to be a technical error, employees did not receive their paychecks as scheduled. We understand the urgency of this matter and sincerely apologize for the inconvenience. Our team is working diligently with our systems vendors and the bank to identify the root cause and implement a solution as quickly as possible. We will keep you updated as we learn more and work to resolve the problem as quickly as possible. Thank you for your patience and understanding. If you have any immediate concerns, feel free to reach out directly. Politico has been received
because this is an out-of-the-box idea. That's who President Trump is. That's why the American people elected him. And his goal is lasting peace in the Middle East for all people in the region.
But we'll only be satisfied when all of these problems are solved, and we have the team to solve them, and that's going to happen. And it's going to happen, I think, very quickly. I also strongly believe that the Gaza Strip, which has been a symbol of death and destruction for so many decades and so bad for the people anywhere near it, and especially those who live there, and frankly, who's been really very unlucky. It's been very unlucky. It's been an unlucky place for a long time. Being in its presence just has not been good. And it should not go through a process of rebuilding and occupation by the same people that have really stood there and fought for it and lived there and died there and lived a miserable existence there. Instead, we should go to other countries of interest with humanitarian hearts, and there are many of them that want to do this, and build various domains that will ultimately be occupied by the 1.8 million Palestinians living in Gaza, ending the death and destruction and, frankly, bad luck. This can be paid for by neighboring countries of great wealth. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 12. It could be numerous sites, or it could be one large site. But the people will be able to live in comfort and peace, and we'll make sure something really spectacular is done. They're going to have peace. They're not going to be shot at and killed and destroyed like this civilization of wonderful people has had to endure. The only reason the Palestinians want to go back to Gaza is they have no alternative. It's right now a demolition site. This is just a demolition site. Virtually every building is down. They're living under fallen concrete that's very dangerous and very precarious. They instead can occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job, do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I'm hopeful that this ceasefire could be the beginning of a larger and more enduring peace that will end the bloodshed and killing once and for all.
The question is, how much of a kickback has there been? And one of the things I want to investigate rapidly, because I've never seen anything to this extent, the train that's being built between Los Angeles and San Francisco is the worst managed project I think I've ever seen, and I've seen some of the worst. Billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars over budget. In fact, I read where you could take every single person that was going to go on the train and get the finest limousine service in the world and take them back and forth with limousines, and you'd have hundreds of billions of dollars left over. It is the worst thing. And the question is, how much?
New United States Attorney General Pam Bondi just put a stop on funding to sanctuary cities, which is approximately 220 cities, if I'm not mistaken. Now, it's unclear if the funding is stopped or only will be stopped after a period of, talk. But basically, the way it works is any city that will impede the mission of Donald Trump, which is to deport illegal migrants, will have their funding cut. What funding? Oh, who cares? The point is, we cut the money. People don't like when we cut the money. Then they stop doing what we don't like.
You are talking tonight about the United States taking over a sovereign territory. What authority would allow you to do that? Are you talking about a permanent occupation there? Redevelopment? And Mr. Prime Minister, do you see this idea as a way to expand the boundaries of Israel and to have a longer peace, even though the Israeli people know how important that land is to you and your citizens, just as the space is inherited by the Palestinians as well?
I do see a long-term ownership position, and I see it bringing great stability to that part of the Middle East and maybe the entire Middle East. And everybody I've spoken to, this was not a decision made lightly. Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that nobody would know. Nobody can look because all they see is death and destruction and rubble and demolished buildings falling all over. It's just a terrible sight. I've studied it. I've studied this very closely over a lot of months, and I've seen it from every different angle. And it's a very, very dangerous place to be, and it's only going to get worse. And I think this is an idea that's gotten tremendous, and I'm talking about from the highest level of leadership, gotten tremendous praise. And if the United States can help to bring stability and peace in the Middle East, we'll do that. Bibi?
I mentioned again tonight our three goals, and the third goal is to make sure that Gaza never poses a threat to Israel again. President Trump is taking it to a much higher level. He sees a different future for that piece of land that has been the focus of so much terrorism, so many attacks against us, so many trials and so many tribulations. He has a different idea, and I think it's worth paying attention to this. We're talking about it. He's exploring it with his people, with his staff. I think it's something that could change history, and it's worthwhile really pursuing this avenue.
Number one thing about all this to come out with the whole Doge thing is that Elon Musk has about 6 guys, ages from 18 to 24. Now, one guy, I think, just got out of high school. A couple of guys are still in college, and they work for Elon Musk, and I think it's some other projects like Tesla or SpaceX. But a couple of these dudes are autistic. Yeah, autistic. That is the most incredible news I've ever heard. They should have led with that information. Are you telling me that you've got a bunch of guys crunching numbers, going through all these files that are autistic? That's freaking genius. These guys are honest, hardworking. They're task-oriented. It's no wonder and in 2 weeks, they've been finding so much wasteful spending. I'm shocked. Like, how are they doing all of this so quickly? I know why. Because they got a couple of Rain Men working back there, crushing it, hitting dingers out of the park with the information that they're getting from Doge. So they're hyper-focused. And these dudes are just blowing through all this information. Number one thing about...
We've all been asking the question. No one's watching the mainstream media anymore. How in the world are they still in business? It doesn't make any sense. They're not making money. You gotta make money to stay in... Okay, we figured out the answer. The United States government, through USAID, actually pays mainstream media millions of dollars. Well, of course they're still in business. The U.S. government funds them. Not only NPR, but others like Politico. All these outlets would never be able to stay in business without being publicly funded. Well, not publicly funded because they're trying to hide it, but now Now that we know, it's publicly funded again, and it's basically government propaganda machine. That is what it is. That's the only way it exists. It's because it's the government propaganda machine.
Our country and our home is the Gaza Strip. It's part of Palestine. We have no home. For those who want to send them to a happy, nice place, let them go back, to their original homes inside Israel. There are nice places there, and they will be happy to return to these places. But in the meantime, our homeland is our homeland. If part of it is destroyed, the Gaza Strip, the Palestinian people selected the choice to return to it. In 2 days, in a span of few hours, 400,000 Palestinians walking returned to the northern part of the Gaza Strip. I think that we should be respecting the selections and the wishes of the Palestinian people.
And I would just say a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting, federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats are outraged that the American people want to be, they want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this. But then they're very quiet about the fact that there are still North Carolinians and people in California who have lost everything, and in the last 4 years, this federal government did nothing to help them. This president will continue to put Americans first, and I think the successes of this week so far speak to that, and it's only Wednesday. So I'll see you guys later this week, and we'll see you this afternoon. Thank you.
Follow up on what you were saying about the Gazans leaving Gaza and going to other countries. One, where exactly are you suggesting that they should go? And two, are you saying they should return after it's rebuilt? And if not, who do you envision living there?
I envision people living there, the world's people. I think you'll make that into an international, unbelievable place. I think the potential in the Gaza Strip is unbelievable. And I think the entire world, representatives from all over the world will be there, and they'll live there. Palestinians also. Palestinians will live there. Many people will live there. But they've tried the other, and they've tried it for decades and decades and decades. It's not going to work. It didn't work. It will never work. And you have to learn from history. History has, you just can't let it keep repeating itself. We have an opportunity to do something that could be phenomenal. And I don't want to be cute. I don't want to be a wise guy, but the Riviera of the Middle East, this could be something that could be this could be so magnificent. But more importantly than that is the people that have been absolutely destroyed that live there now can live in peace in a much better situation, because they're living in hell, and those people will now be able to live in peace. We'll make sure that it's done world class. It'll be wonderful for the people. Palestinians mostly we're talking about.
The real crux of that question is where the Palestinians are supposed to go. There are over 1 million people living in that enclave. And while the president is talking about what it looks like now and how destroyed it has been since this war started 16 months ago, that is the question here, because obviously this is an area that is rife with tension and incredibly sensitive. And what that could look like is a massive question here of what could happen next. And so the president there unable to say where he thinks the Palestinians should go after this, where they would go while Gaza is being rebuilt. He said that they could potentially return to Gaza after that happened. That was the first time that he had suggested that all day long. And obviously is a key question. It is their homeland. It is where the Palestinians live right now. And so the question not just of who is in charge of the Gaza Strip after it would be rebuilt, but clearly you heard the president there essentially viewing this through a real estate lens, saying it could be the Riviera of the Middle East, as he was articulating what this could look like in terms of who lives there and who is in control of it. Follow up on what
Garrett, great to see you here today.
Thank you. On Gaza, the president has spent basically his entire public career criticizing foreign entanglements, nation building, sending American troops to fight abroad, particularly in the Middle East. This plan seems like it could ultimately involve all of those things. Can you explain this reversal and how building and owning Gaza squares with America First foreign policy?
I would reject the premise of your question that this forces the United States to be entangled in conflicts abroad. The president has not committed to putting boots on the ground in Gaza. He has also said that the United States is not going to pay for the rebuilding of Gaza. His administration is going to work with our partners in the region to reconstruct this region. And let me just take a step back here, because this is an out-of-the-box idea. That's who President Trump is. That's why the American people elected him. And his goal is lasting peace in the Middle East for all people in the region. And as I said in my opening remarks, we've had the same people pushing the same solutions to this problem for decades. And it's been made very clear to the president that the United States needs to be involved in this rebuilding effort to ensure stability in the region for all people. But that does not mean boots on the ground in Gaza. It does not mean American taxpayers will be funding this effort. It means Donald Trump, who is the best deal maker on the planet, is going to strike a deal with our partners in the region.
He did not rule out American troops in Gaza last night. Are you doing that now?
I am saying that the president has not committed to that just yet. He has not made that commitment, and you know that.
And on the foreign partners, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Saudis have already panned this plan. What foreign partners, if any, have expressed any interest in being part of it?
Well, the president has said he's been socialing this idea for quite some time. He's been thinking about this. He said in his remarks last night, this was not a decision or an announcement that he takes lightly. And the president has already spoken to the President al-Sisi. In fact, that was his first foreign leader call. He's meeting with the King of Jordan, King Abdullah, next week. He spoke with the King of Bahrain. He spoke with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And he has made it very clear, he's been very vocal, that he expects our partners in the region, particularly Egypt and Jordan, to accept Palestinian refugees temporarily so that we can rebuild their home. I'd like to show you some images of Gaza that were taken. Fox News aired this. I mean, that is, as they put it, an apocalyptic scene in Gaza. This is an uninhabitable place for human beings. Do you really think that families can live their dream in a region that looks like this, with no running water, no electricity? And the special envoy to the president, Steve Witkoff, recently traveled to Gaza, as you all know. And he came back with images that he showed the president of the dire situation here. And the president made this decision with a humanitarian heart for all people in the region. Peter.
Thank you, Caroline.
When the truth comes out, when the truth comes out, you can run.
I'm from Afghanistan. My name is Razia Karimi, Afghan suffered woman, as I expectation from you. Do you have any plan to change Afghanistan situation? Are you able to recognize Taliban? Because I'm an Afghan journalist, Afghan suffered woman. Any comment about Afghanistan? What's your future plan for Afghan people, especially Afghanistan?
I have a little hard time understanding you. Where are you from? Oh. Actually, it's a beautiful voice and a beautiful accent. The only problem is I can't understand a word you're saying. But I just say this, good luck. Live in peace.
So there was some confusion over the weekend when Department of Government Efficiency, headed up by Elon Musk, went to the USAID, which is the United States Agency for International Development. Now, you would think that this agency would be doing great work, right? Oh, there's no wasteful spending there. But when they tried to enter the building, they were met with two security guys, named John Voorhees and his deputy, Brian McGill. Both these guys wouldn't let those come in there to look at some of these files. They were making excuses. It got to the point where they had to say, hey, listen, if you don't let us in there, we're going to have to call the U.S. Marshal Services and you're going to have you arrested. So the big to-do about them going into the USAID is that there were a bunch of files in there, some classified things. These guys from DOJ didn't have clearance to get in there and look at these files. Now, my biggest problem is they didn't have clearance to go look at some secret document from a humanitarian aid organization funded by the U.S. government. That's strange. What could possibly be top secret that these guys aren't allowed to look at? So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
as Attorney General of the United States, Pam has a historic and urgently needed task ahead of her. And probably there's never been a time, Clarence, that's more important than right now. We went through 4 years of not such good work in many ways, not just with the president, at other levels also with the president, obviously. She's going to restore fair, equal, and impartial justice and restore the constitutional rule of law in America. She will lead the Democrats. You know where they're going to, at least she's going to lead them right down. But I think she's going to be as impartial as you can possibly be. I know I'm supposed to say she's going to be totally impartial with respect to Democrats. And I think she will be as impartial as a person can be.
No. No.
A U.S. military plane carrying at least 100 Indian nationals has landed here in Amritsar in the state of Punjab. And if you look just over this way, you can see a gaggle of media. And behind the barricades is actually where these people are going to be processed. Now, this is significant for two reasons. One, this is the first plane load of deportees that has come to India from the United States under this new Trump administration. And second, this is the first time that we know of that really a military plane has been used to bring back people from the United States. That's a departure from previous administrations that used commercial flights. The issue of illegal immigration by Indians going to the United States is possibly a thorny issue that could come up between President Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This is something that the Trump administration has said it's going to tackle, and it is going to try and get promises from countries like India to say that they're going to take their citizens back.
12 members of the president's cabinet have been confirmed, most recently Pam Bondi, who, as you all know, I was just in the Oval Office for that swearing-in ceremony surrounded by Pam's lovely family, and we look forward to watching her serve as the Attorney General of the United States. According to CNN, President Trump is getting more cabinet picks confirmed so far than the average president in the modern era. Another success story. And we believe it's critical that Republicans in the Senate majority stay tough and keep their foot on the gas to confirm all of the remaining nominees as quickly as possible so we can continue President Trump's important work here at the White House and across our entire federal government.
This video is going to sting just a bit. This video is directed to Elon Musk. Thank you very much. You're doing a fantastic job on Doge. The average nationwide salary is $63,795. If we subtract 40% for federal taxes, it's approximately $25,518 per person. There's 168 million people, working Americans, in the United States. We multiply that by 25,518. We, the American people, are collecting or giving to the new U.S. government just about $4.3 trillion per year. That is absolutely ridiculous. So, to make this video sting a lot more, we make the American people, the working 168 million working Americans, makes the U.S. government $572,519.22 per second.
Y'all, look, it's my first day as a sub. I'm subbing elementary school. Tell me why the tea is hot. Tell me why the tea is boiling over. So look, I take attendance. I get the roll call out the way. I'm over here sitting at my desk chilling. A little girl walk up to me. She say, Jay not in. I'm gonna call him Jay, because I ain't gonna put all his business out there. But she say, Jay not in his seat. I said, I mean, like, is it that serious? She said, yes, it is. I said, girl, why? I said, girl, why? What's up? So she sit down at the desk. She talking about, so listen. Now, mind you, these kids is at elementary school. I tell y'all, these kids is messy. These kids is messy. She said, Jay got a girlfriend, and that's not her. I look over. Why Jay sitting beside a little girl, and they over there sharing French toast sticks? I said, what? I said, who is Jay's girlfriend? She said, she not here today. I said, oh, so that's why Jay trying to act out. She said, She said, but that's not all though. I said, girl, what? Tell me, y'all, man, get to it. You sitting up playing. She said Jay's girlfriend had caught Jay and the girl the week prior sharing crayons. Went up and told the girl, let me catch you sharing crayons with Jay again and I'm gonna whoop your ass. I said, she gonna whip her ass? I said, surely she's not gonna do that on school premises. She said she already did it. I said, to who? She said, 3 months ago, when the school year first started, she caught Jay kissing the girl in the playground during recess. I said, and what happened? She said she grabbed the girl by her hair, swung her, and threw her in the slide. She said the girl came back to class with a patch of hair missing. The next day, her mom transferred her out to class, and they have not seen her since. Then she told me, I don't even know how she knew this, but she told me that Jay's girlfriend, mama, didn't even want her talking to Jay because Jay was a scammer. I said, a scammer? He in 3rd grade. What you mean he's scamming? She said apparently Jay be taking the little name tag cards from the kids in kindergarten and giving them to the older kids so they can get extra lunch. I said, like, is that lucrative? You know what I mean? Like, what's the return on that? She had just said that basically whenever the other kids in the class become line leaders, they'll give it to Jay in exchange for the food. That's a good deal. I said, Jay got clout, don't he? She said, yeah. So it makes sense. It makes sense why Jay got all these girls lining up to get him and he the line leader. Y'all.
Yesterday, leftists staged what they call a protest, a day without immigrants. They asked businesses to shut down and to show everybody what it would be like if there were no immigrants in this country, which, to be completely honest, kind of just proves the point for Trump supporters who are concerned about mass migration. But I guess the left doesn't quite understand the complaints of many right-leaning populists and those who voted for Donald Trump. That is, if you're making the argument that if immigrants don't show up for work, business shuts down, you're proving to everybody concerned about immigration that Americans are losing jobs and industry.
Here's your news in under 2 minutes. So Pam Bondi seems to have hit the ground running. It's very exciting. Now, we heard from her confirmation hearings, right, about what she really wanted to focus on. The first one was the combating the weaponization of the legal system. Making prosecutors seek death penalty when appropriate. Makes sense. And also working with the Department of Homeland Security to completely eliminate cartels in the transportation of criminal organizations. So I'm here for it. I'm excited to see what she can do. She's been very, very impressive so far. So we'll see. Also, it seems that there might be a couple of people that are really upset. I mean, I hope there's more than a couple, as Elon Musk busted open the door that Politico was getting paid $8.1 million for their subscriptions, paid by the taxpayers. So, sorry, your subscription has been canceled. Okay. And here's the next one, right? So now we've got Democrat lawmakers who are out there saying to take to the streets to fight Elon Musk and Trump. Do you know how goofy you look? He just found $8.1 million of taxpayer money being spent on goddamn subscriptions, and the company now can't pay their employees, right? What kind of Mickey Mouse organization is that? But we have Elon Musk showing us what the government is spending our money on, which is absolute shit. And you're out there protesting. I hope they take so many pictures of you people that we can use for the history books, because this is going to be amazing. I can't imagine. I cannot imagine being on that side of it. Anyway, it also seems that there have been senators now that have come out and said, hey, we were trying to raise the red flags about USAID, right, for a long time because we thought there was a lot of corruption there, and they just kept stonewalling us. So thanks, Elon. I don't know, what do y'all think?
We see that he's surrounded by all these young children. But can you talk a little bit about the people that are in the room? We saw that backdrop. He's surrounded by women that were applauding. I mean, these are parents, students. It looks like an array. But who's in that room?
Several congressional leaders, not only members of Congress.
You know, if you'd like to gather around me, I think I'm going to be okay. Come on. Come on. Secret Service is worried about them? If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to have it? You want to do this? Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay? Are you ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature, because this is, this is a big one, right? Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10.
God bless you, Mr. President.
Pretty good, huh? Okay? Good. Now you're going to go out and win those events, right? Nice to see you all. Great going, everybody. Nice to see you. Thank you, kids. Here, take a pen. Thank you. I'll give some of these out, okay? Take a pen, take a pen.
Thank you so much.
Where's Riley? I offered to build a ballroom. I'm very good at building ballrooms. I build beautiful ballrooms. And I actually offered to build a ballroom for the White House. I was going to build it right there. This was going to be the reception room. And then I was going to build a beautiful, beautiful ballroom like I have at Mar-a-Lago, as beautiful as it can be. It was going to cost about $100 million. I offered to do it, and I never heard back. I offered to do it to the Biden administration, very active administration, and they didn't hear back. And I said again and again, 3-4 times, I said to top people, and they just didn't know what to do. They sort of said, this is good, but they had no idea. So I'm going to try and make the offer to myself, because we could use a bigger room. Right, Marshall? We could use a bigger room. President, would you like to build? Yeah, I would. We could use at the White House. It would actually be a beautiful addition. It's going to cost nothing. I'll spend the whole thing myself. We'll do a big, beautiful room, but we could use it at the White House. You know what they do when they have a big ceremony? They put up a tent. And somehow I think we've outgrown the tent stuff, right? Don't you think? So we'll see if they can, we'll see if Trump will approve it.
To the efforts by Elon Musk to downsize the federal government. We have new details on the buyout offers for federal workers, including at the CIA. Here's ABC's Lina Moise.
This morning, the CIA is now offering buyouts to its entire staff, the latest move in President Trump's push to downsize the government. It follows a similar offer to civilian federal workers last month. About 20,000 of those workers have now accepted the buyout ahead of tomorrow's deadline, amid reports of mass layoffs to come. ABC News has learned Elon Musk, leading the Department of Government Efficiency, has now moved beds into the executive office building next to the White House, allowing Musk and his staff to sleep there when working late. His staff reportedly includes people as young as 19 years old. President Trump insists they're qualified.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Police said they seized 54 kilograms of fentanyl. Now, that might not seem like a lot,
until you realize that it just takes 2 milligrams to kill a human being. That means there was enough finished fentanyl to kill 27 million people. Police found enough ingredients to make enough fentanyl to kill 95 million people. That's twice the population of Canada. Police also found 390 kilograms of methamphetamine, small explosives, ammunition, silencers, high-capacity magazines, body armor, $500,000 in cash, and 89 firearms, many of which were, quote, loaded and ready to be used. Days earlier, police discovered a super lab in Langley, BC, that they say was capable of producing multiple kilograms of fentanyl on a weekly basis. A Government of Canada report confirmed, and I quote, seizures of Canada-sourced fentanyl in places like the U.S. and Australia suggest that the domestic production of fentanyl is likely exceeding the domestic demand, and that Canada is now a source and transit country for fentanyl to some markets. The number of seizures of fentanyl at the Canada-U.S. border more than tripled between 2023 and 2024, rising from 239,000 doses to 839 doses. How did this happen? Well, the Carney-Trudeau Liberals happened. They legalized fentanyl possession here in British Columbia in partnership with the local radical NDP BC government. They passed C5, which eliminated mandatory jail time and brought in house arrest, allowing fentanyl dealers to do their time in their living room while watching Netflix or playing Grand Theft Auto. The Falkland Super Lab that police discovered had ties to transnational criminal networks that span Mexico all the way to China. They are killing our people and many more in other countries, which is now endangering the trade with our closest ally. President Trump has threatened to tariff Canada because of what he says is lethal drug flows. But whether or not we agree with him should not matter. It should not take a foreign leader to get the Liberals to wake up to the drug crisis that they have caused here at home. It should have been enough that we lost 50,000 of our people. Police said they...
If you want to see something really, really cool, go to YouTube and search Elon Musk's new TV that's coming out in 2025. Elon Musk is brilliant. This TV is going to be a 65-inch OLED flat screen TV under $200. He is going to wipe out the foreign electronic industry, you guys. Think about how many people have TVs in their homes. This TV also will last over 30 years without the bulbs, without anything burning out. Under $200.
We practiced yesterday. We're practicing again on Friday. You're invited to that if you'd like to come.
Yeah, do you want to go flying on Friday?
What? Can you parachute out of it?
We don't want to have anybody pay. We don't carry parachutes. Parachutes are for quitters.
Oh.
Yes.
I love that.
But if you want to go, we'll grip it and rip it and do another practice run.
We practiced yesterday. We're practicing again on Friday. You're invited to that if you'd like to come.
Yeah, do you want to go flying on Friday?
What? Can you parachute out of it?
We don't want to have anybody pay. We don't carry parachutes. Parachutes are for quitters.
Oh.
Yes.
He awarded $2 million to strengthen trans-led organizations to deliver gender-affirming health care in Guatemala. So to each of you this morning, does this advance the interests of American citizens paying for trannies in Guatemala to the tune of $2 million? Yes or no? Governor?
No. I have no position.
Of course you don't. Okay, USAID awarded over $750,000 to fund alleviating loneliness among migrant garment workers in India. Does this advance America's interests, Governor? No.
No. I have no position.
USAID awarded $1.5 million for providing a gender-sensitive response to migration at the Venezuelan border. Does this advance America's interests, Governor? No.
No, I have no position.
Does this advance the interest? Okay, so USAID awarded $4.3 million on October 1st, 2023 to a group to fund comprehensive health services for men having sex with other men in South Africa. Does this advance the interests of American citizens, Governor?
No. These Democrats are so silly. They're having committee meetings to try to subpoena Elon and try to get him to stop what he's doing. I'm kind of happy with what he's doing, and I think most voters are happy with what he's doing because we actually get to see the absolute ridiculousness that is going on with our taxpayer money. I'm not opposed to what's going on, but there are sure a whole lot of individuals that have something to say about it, and I kind of begin to wonder, what's in it for you?
Want to see something awesome? Go to whitehouse.gov. You can thank me later. Want to see something awesome? Go to whitehouse.gov. You can thank me later.
And this is what it looks like when you have a leader of our great nation who uses the leverage of the United States, who understands that since our nation's founding, we have been viewed as that shining light on the hill. We have been viewed, rightfully so, as the best, proudest country in the world. And President Trump is not afraid to say that or to use that for the American people's benefit. And that's why you have seen so many countries around the world in just the matter of 2 weeks cave to President Trump's demands. In the past 24 hours, you have Canada and Mexico agreeing to help secure our southern and northern borders. And these tariffs that President Trump threatened to impose on both Canada and Mexico, and they were sign, seal, deliver, I may add, those were retaliatory tariffs for the last 4 years of treatment by Canada and Mexico of our nation. They have allowed an unprecedented wave of illegal deadly drugs and illegal criminals on our territorial borders, and President Trump said enough is enough. He is standing up for the American people. Too many lives have been lost at the hands of illegal migrants and Chinese fentanyl flowing through our nation's borders, and he got Canada and Mexico to step up to the plate to surge resources and personnel to our territorial borders, and America and the American people will be safer because of it.
So the French fail spectacularly at building the Panama Canal. And Teddy Roosevelt takes a look at that situation and says, so you're saying there's a chance? You see, during the Spanish-American War, which was in 1898, Teddy realized that we were unable to connect our Navy on the West Coast with our Navy on the East Coast, because in order to do so, just like the trade routes, we would have to go all the way down and around the bottom of South America. He saw the canal not only as a trade necessity, but the linchpin in having the greatest frickin' Navy there was. So in 1903, the U.S. offered Colombia a deal. We said, we'll give you $10 million up front and $250,000 every year that we're building the canal until it's done. Then when we were done, we would be the owners of the canal zone. But Colombia said, nah. In fact, their government unanimously rejected the offer. And that happened for a couple of reasons. One is that they thought it was a lowball offer, but also their constitution forbade the giving away of the sovereignty of any part of what was considered their nation, which would have included Panama. So what is the U.S. going to do? Negotiate harder? Offer more money? Or we could just help Panama become its own country. See, there had been a movement of Panamanians who wanted independence from Colombia. So the U.S. just rounded up the Panamanian rebels and said, do you want to form an alliance? To which they said, absolutely we do. On November 3rd of 1903, Panama declared its independence. In conjunction with that, the U.S. did a couple of things too. First, Colombian officers that were stationed in Panama were persuaded with cash payments to not fight when the uprising began. Some Colombian officials were also allegedly paid off to just leave town quietly. Then the U.S. stationed warships off the shore of Colombia to make sure that they couldn't send any reinforcements. But technically, militarily, we weren't in the middle of it. Just 15 days later, this revolution was over with no bloodshed, and Panama was now its own country. Ta-da!
Okay, forget about it being a direct hit. Forget about the fact it was flying 150 feet above the approved altitude. Forget about the fact that the tracking system was turned off. Forget about them saying Black Hawks don't have black boxes, and then 3 days later, magically, they've discovered the black box. Forget about the fact she was a military aide under Biden. Forget about her dad being the lead researcher at Duke University and specializing in health policy, and it just so happens this occurred on the same day as the RFK hearing. And forget about after serving 2 years in the White House, this was her first flight to get her license back. I want you to forget about all the weird things surrounding this event and just think about this one thing. After the first 2 pilots' names and information was released, they withheld her information for 3 days, citing it was at the family's request. And what did the family do in those 3 days? They wiped all of her social media clean. Number 1, why? Why is that the first thing that you do? Number 2, if anybody's lost a loved one, you know that you have to go through hoops and leaps and bounds to get their social medias removed. You have to show death certificates. You have to show all of these things, obituaries, just to get it removed. But they were able to do it before it was ever even made public.
Aloha everyone, come with me to throw Genki balls and help clean the Alawai Canal with the Genki Alawai Project. The canal was built between 1921 and 1928 to drain the natural wetlands, swamp, and rice paddies to create Waikiki. The Alawai has a reputation for being full of toxic sludge and even sewage. The Genki Alawai mission is to make the canal fishable and swimmable by 2026 with their Genki balls. These are mud balls that have billions of effective microorganisms, or EM. They're super easy and fun to make, and I made a few friends. The project's impact has already brought back some fish, seahorses, manta rays, and even turtles have been spotted in the Alawai recently. We throw them into the canal not only for fun, but because they sink to the bottom, helping to digest the sludge. It's kind of like a probiotic for the canal's ecosystem. I can't wait to see the canal fully restored for future generations to enjoy.
President, will you continue to press for this idea that Jordan and Egypt take Palestinians from Gaza?
Yeah, I would like to see Jordan. I'd like to see Egypt take some look. The Gaza thing has not worked. It's never worked. And I feel very differently about Gaza than a lot of people. I think they should get a good, fresh, beautiful piece of land, and we get some people to put up the money to build it and make it nice and make it habitable and enjoyable and
somewhere else.
Make it a home.
They don't want to leave, though. Palestinians say they don't want to leave.
I don't know how they could want to stay. It's a demolition site. It's a pure demolition site. If we could find the right piece of land or numerous pieces of land and build them some really nice places with plenty of money in the area, that's for sure, I think that would be a lot better than going back to Gaza, which has had just decades and decades of death.
Can you imagine being any fully legal American citizen right now and waking up in the morning and being like, oh no, not another day of this? Dude, how are you not stoked out of your mind about what's going on right now? This is the greatest shit in American history. Hey liberals, instead of waking up horrified to an existential crisis and dread, why don't you just try being stoked?
Domingo Mussolini is gonna take my seed oils away.
Oh. Well, those are really bad for you anyways. We are watching our corrupt government be dissected and publicly executed before our eyeballs. We also, have a say in what's going on. This is the most punk rock time in American history, dude. You're a legal citizen. I kind of understand if you'd be mad if you weren't a legal citizen. But if you're a legal citizen, what are you mad about, dude?
Elon Musk has just become like Ben Affleck in the movie The Accountant. I can just imagine him sitting there getting access to this data and them going through every number and calculation to see how they manipulated it to launder money. Elon Musk